This morning, our first webinar is tips on how to maintain your market presence during the COVID-19 crisis. So Mark, again from 28, will share ideas on how all businesses, big or small, temporarily closed, operating in a scaled back capacity, or still open for business, can maintain communication with their customers and nurture new relationships for when business resumes. They'll talk about how to safeguard your business from competitors who are looking to attack your customer relationships that you have worked so hard for over the years. So Mark, I'll hand it over to you. And as Catherine suggested, if you could just tell us a little bit about what 28 does and your role with the BIA, and we'll go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for getting out of bed early and making this early morning meeting. Anyway, 28, we are a advertising agency that focuses 100% on the digital space. My background has been in the advertising world since the early 80s. My wife, who has been in this space since the early 2000s, and I formed a company 4 years ago after leaving the radio industry after many, many years. We're generalists in the sense that we don't work on a particular vertical. We have clients all over Canada and the US, and we run campaigns all across the world for some of these clients. We have small clients, we have large clients, we have e-commerce clients, we have retail clients, we have service-based clients. A lot of experience. We're a team of 7, including Louise and I full-time, plus 5 part-time in the pre-COVID world. Our business has been most likely less affected than many of your businesses as being a service-oriented business. 60% of our clients did continue their services contracts with us. 40% have suspended their agreements with us during this period, and that's primarily some of the retail businesses, restaurants and whatnot, that closed up entirely and had no cash coming in. But the other 60% have been keeping us very, very busy, more so than, well, all 100% were on board pre-COVID. So we've been fortunate to wake up every morning with a purpose and work for our clients. We do, and we've also been fortunate that we've only laid off 1 person. We're knocking on wood that will qualify for at least 1 month of the wage subsidy program so that it'll offset the losses that we're incurring. And the person that we did lay off was unfortunately caught in India visiting his family. And since he doesn't have his permanent residency status, he cannot get back into Canada. So we're keeping everybody employed at this point, and it's because we're busy. We're keeping, again, we're not making any more money. We're actually losing money, but the clients that have stayed on board need to be serviced. And with COVID, there's been a lot of messaging changing up campaigns. And in the first couple of weeks, we were changing campaigns for some clients like every 3 days as the government mandates were changing. So that's a background of our business. So we do understand that there's a scope of circumstances for different groups of businesses. So today's conversation takes into consideration all of the different circumstances that we're facing. Yesterday we were talking about this post that's circulating on Facebook, and it talks about that, you know, in reality we're not all in this together. We're all in the same storm, but we're all weathering it differently due to our own personal circumstances. And when I read that post, I thought it was quite bang on, because we're all not facing the same issues, whether it's business-wise or family-wise. So I do have a leave behind that I'll post to the chat afterwards here. And I'm going to pull it up so we'll share screen. So basically, you know, to frame what this chat or conversation is all about is basically, you know, what we want is at when business resumes to normal, or whatever the new normal is going to be, is that we've been able to maintain a relationship, a dialogue with our past customers or existing customers during this period, so that when the economy resumes for your business, that you're still top of mind with your customers. Now, there's a lot of obstacles in the way for us to do that. One, some of us are closed entirely. We're not open to the public whatsoever. Some of us are trying to work with less staff. And obviously with no cash flow coming in, less financial resources to work with. So those are obstacles. But if we can maintain some sort of market presence during this period, if each business can find a way to maintain the presence, solidifying the relationship with their existing customers, maybe find a way to nurture new relationships, then you should be able to come out of this maybe even stronger, like a year afterwards. I'm not saying day number one of economy opens, but 6 months to a year afterwards, you may be even in a stronger position than you were before going into it, all right? Because one thing for sure, not everybody is maintaining a relationship. So you want to do what your customers aren't doing, or your competitors, sorry, aren't doing. You want to be that person that's still out there. So here, let me do my shared screen. There we go. Do we see my screen? Do you see my screen too? I don't hear anybody. Yep, okay, all right, perfect. All right, so we'll go through these points. There's a lot of points. The meeting has been scheduled for 90 minutes. We'll try to keep it closer to an hour, but there'll be a lot of time for questions and discussion. And if you have something as we're going through it come up that you'd like to address at the moment for that particular topic, feel free to interrupt. All right, I won't consider it an interruption, but so I want to start off with, and again, for those of you that know me or we've been part of these conversations, I tend to be sometimes a little blunt, but I think we have to be realistic during this time and work with cautiousness, but also optimism. But if your intention is to be in business when the economy reopens, it's extremely important that you maintain a presence during this time, even if your business is closed. It's share of mind can be easily lost. Many of you have worked years to build up your business, to build up your client list, to build up that recurring revenue base if you're that type of business. But it's easy to lose it. It's easy for someone else to steal the share of mind. And a large part of that is because of digital marketing. And this is not a pitch for digital marketing. It's just fortunate digital marketing, social media, everything is available to us today. That wasn't available to us in 2008 at the level it is today. Because it's a game changer. For free or for low cost, anybody that's really ambitious out there and wants to look at this time as an opportunity to nurture new relationships, they could easily hijack your current customer relationships if you're not watering and fertilizing and really working hard to keep those relationships during this time. It is so easy. It's easy during normal times, all right, to have a relationship hijacked. It's even easier today for those relationships to be hijacked. So a few of you have heard me say this, but going dark with your communications during this time may be the costliest decision you make during this crisis. So yesterday, Chris asked me to, we were on a call, and he asked me to talk about mental mindset. So I gave some thought to this. So, and I was on another call yesterday afternoon, and it was great the way the person framed it. It's time to get out of the basement, all right? Get into that fighter mode. We're 6 weeks into this. If you want to be in business when on the other side of this, then you want to win, and you want to win well. So it's time to start thinking about what your business is going to look like post-COVID. And I think there's two phases. There's post-economy open, or post this shutdown, and then there's post-COVID whenever there's a vaccine available. Do you need to rebuild your business model? So yesterday, Jen was talking about her, Barrhaven optometrists, and they have a lot of traffic every day into their business. They do a lot of eye appointments every day. Most likely the new rules are not going to permit that. So how do they go about maintaining their business model, or do they need to rebuild it? Are they expanding opening hours and staff are working 7:30 till 3, and then there's a second shift from 3 until 10, so that they can maintain or try to build back to the same revenue levels that they were at before? Or what do they have to look at to scale back if they can only accommodate 50% of the traffic? Those are thoughts to think about. What is your business going to look like? How does a restaurant survive with 50% capacity? If every second table has to be closed, how do they survive with 50% capacity? The restaurant business is very difficult as it is. Even busy restaurants, it's a challenge to make money. So how do you survive at 50% capacity? Do you adopt the Australian staffing model? I call it that because that's the first time I was introduced to it in Australia, where in most restaurants, casual restaurants, you do not have a waiter or a server that comes up to your table and asks you for what you want. You go to the counter, you order it. Somebody brings it to your table. Some other smaller pubs or even lower, real light casual like restaurants, you order it, you pick it up, you bring it back to the table yourself, sort of like we have here in fast food restaurants now. And only the high-end restaurants provide wait service, where they come to the table and order off a menu. So that was a result. That model was adopted years ago because the minimum wages in Australia are stupid high, like it's $20 an hour. If you're working on Christmas, Boxing Day, wait staff or staff are being paid $50 an hour. So how does a business survive at those kinds of labor overheads? So are those the type of models that we need to be looking at to maintain our business in a new world? So just want to put that out there because it's all about that mental mindset. It's how am I going to survive? And then this leads into taking a look at the big picture for your business, like not the big picture of the world, but the big picture of your business. Where were you before the crisis? Where were you going to be after the economy opens? Where are you going to be 2 years from now when the vaccine has been distributed to the whole population? So it's a great time to evaluate everything you used to do, everything you're doing now, because there's stuff we're doing now as we're working from home that may be different from when we were working at our place of business. There might have been stuff that we were doing then that we're no longer doing. Do we need to continue doing it? Does it bring value or not? Look at all of that so that you can come out of this leaner, faster, and stronger. So I don't know, Chris, if that addresses the mental mindset, but I love that saying yesterday when I heard it's time to get out of the basement, and it's time to put our pants on, and it's time to think positive, get into that fighter mode, because those that fight are those that are going to win. Those that are waiting for the doors to open, whether it's 6 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, or 12 weeks from now, and expect things to go back to normal, are going to lose. All right. So just wanted to give some examples of some businesses that are, I think, doing a good job and were innovative to keep in touch with their customers. When you look at Yoga Town, Elevate Spin, Good Life Fitness, offering classes, whether they're free or give a donation to the instructor. I think that's a great way to maintain relationships with the current clientele. And at the same time, they're nurturing possible future customer relationships with people that are being invited. So let's say Andrea is participating in a Yoga Town session and she invites Crystal to join her, and Crystal's never been a customer of Yoga Town. So Crystal's first exposure to this wonderful online session, it's great, she enjoys it. Yoga Town opens in 2 months' time. she's all geared up, ready to go and sign up for a membership and make it part of her day-to-day life. Now, maybe she was doing yoga at another gym. Boom, Yoga Town's just hijacked that relationship. All right. Saw a dental clinic advertising on CTV the other day, and I just thought it was brilliant. They're offering virtual consults. So let's say people have, somebody has an issue, has a toothache or whatever, and they want to talk to the dentist. Typically in the past, they'd make a phone call and go see the dentist and deal with it. Obviously, you can't do that right now, unless it's for emergency purposes. So with the virtual consult, here's this dental clinic that's saying out there, hey, you got a problem, give us a call. Maybe my clinic's unavailable for this. Maybe they're not offering it. So I make the call to this. I can't remember the name of the clinic. I only saw the ad once. So I call them up. They do a virtual consult. I need an emergency. Boom. Chances are I'm going to go right straight to that one. They're the ones that gave me the consult. And, you know, again, I think it's a great way to hijack future relationships. Dentists are one of those things that I'll drive, you know, to a different part of town because it's only a couple times a year that I have to go for my checkups. It's not like it's an every week type of thing. And maybe I work downtown or I work in a different part of town, so it's on my way for my commute. Hairstylists like Excello and others that are sending out hair coloring kits to their key clients. You know what? I don't have much hair and it's gray and I've never dyed my hair. But from what, and my wife's hair is now gray. It's been that way for several years, so saving a lot of money in that sense. But, you know, for those of you that are coloring your hair, it's thousands of dollars a year, you know, to maintain your hair and your mani-pedis and all that. What's the cost of sending out these kits? Diddly squat, really, to maintain that $3,000 or $4,000 annual relationship. All right, very smart move. Now the important part is to keep it up monthly, you know. So, and then restaurants that have chosen to stay open, and we're hearing that some people are open and they're still not making a lot of money or just breaking even or keeping a couple of staff employed or whatnot. But they're still maintaining a relationship with their customers. They're serving their core customers. And if word's getting out about their business, that they're open for curbside pickup or delivery through Uber Eats or Skip the Dishes or whatever, they're introducing themselves to new customers maybe for the first time. So even if it's like, I'm not making any money at this, it's still maintaining that relationship versus going dark and you know, someone going somewhere else. Like, you know, normally for Chinese food, we would order from the place next to the cinema. They weren't open last week when I wanted Chinese food for my birthday, once a year, guilty pleasure, and ended up going to Lin Cuisine, Lu Cuisine on Strandard. Enjoyed it. Food was great, you know. So all of a sudden, I've experienced something new versus the regular spot. So I just wanted to highlight that you know, maintaining relationships can be done in a variety of different ways. So we're going to talk about a couple of different things that you can do that only require time, no cash investment out of your pocket, which is very important for a lot of businesses. And then obviously we'll talk about paid advertising, what's available and ways to attack it. So this crisis has given us a valuable gift. It's called time. All right. We have time to do things now that we've been putting off for a long time. So we're going to cover off some of the basics here. So obviously your website is, you know, quite often the first experience that your customer will or prospect will have exposure to before they talk to you, before they come into your store, before they pick up the phone, make contact with you. So again, a lot of people, they don't maintain it. It's not up to date. Here's a good time to do a tune-up. Don't need to spend a lot of money on this, if anything, but sweep your site, look at the update the out-of-date content. What new content have you added? Maybe you've added new services in the past year or so to your business and they're not on your website yet. Just first things first, make sure that your site is putting its best face on to the public. All right. I was talking to someone yesterday. There were a restaurant that closed back on March 17th. Decided that let's reopen for curbside pickup and delivery. And we were looking at the site, and I said, "Look, are your menu items up to date?" "No, I haven't updated in a couple of years." Where on the website are you going to talk about how you're going to serve people? What's the safety precautions that you're taking in place? What's the touchless relationship that you're going to have for pickup? How's it all going to work? Are they going to come into the restaurant? Do you have a row of tables across the first part of the restaurant so that the staff is 20, 30, 40 feet separated, other than the person bringing out the bag and dropping it on that row of tables? What are you doing? You've got to explain that. So some people don't think that through, but you got to look at what your website's doing for you and how it's going to be an important part of it. But more importantly, for anybody coming to your website, for whatever reason, even if you're closed, is it putting on the best face to the public? Your physical front door may be closed, but your online presence is not closed. All right. So make sure it is best. Like, website traffic is high. Like I look at most of our clients, and their organic search results are almost as high as they were pre-March 17th. And we'll get to that in a moment. Another thing is, and this shocks me, but do you have a Google Analytics set up on your website? Again, if you don't, and it might cost you an hour's worth of time to get your web developer to add it to your website and set up some proper goal tracking. But I find it very odd that in 2020, we take over clients and they don't have Google Analytics on their website. How do you know how many people are coming to your website? How do you know what pages they're using? How do you know if people are clicking on those forms? And because maybe you're getting no forms and there's a reason why. So know your data. So again, take this time to get that housekeeping in order. And when you set up your analytics, just don't have the developer put SMART goals, because that's just empty calories. Get them to set up form completions, click the call, get directions, make a reservation, whatever those goal completions are that you want to track, so that you can see where they're coming from, whether they're coming from organic sources, social sources, or paid sources. All right, because that's important data. And again, if you can afford the investment, maybe it's the perfect time right now, when you have time in your hands, to rethink your website strategy and launch a new one. Lifespan for most websites is a maximum 2 to 3 years, max, if you want to remain contemporary in the eyes of your customers and prospects. So again, we have time. If you do have the money to invest, it's a great time to get this done now. Because once the economy starts to open up, we're going to be busy back servicing our customers, and we may not have the time to do some of this stuff that we should be doing now. Same thing for all your social media sites. Is your content complete? Do you have all your services listed on your social media sites? Are they up to date? Images. When was the last time you added images to your social media sites, or updated them? Maybe you've got that storefront picture of a winter from 2 years ago. Well, it's now sunny out. The snow's gone. Time to seasonally update your site. Okay, Crystal, I saw that. Snows. Okay, it might snow again. All right, but you know what I'm saying. So again, these are some of those basic housekeeping items that we have time to do right now, and it's important to do it. Okay, many of you have heard me talk about customer lists. This is your gold mine. One of our clients sold one of his businesses in Virginia this month. The client bought the list. What the new owner was buying was the customer list. This was a house washing business, very profitable house washing and Christmas decoration business at Christmas time. Very strong business. The client wasn't buying anything else other than that list, and he had it well maintained and well organized. So if you have a list, have you used it at all in the past 6 weeks? Have you made phone calls? Have you sent out emails to these people? Have you explained to them how your business is functioning during this shutdown? If you're offering curbside pickup, if you're offering delivery, what are the terms? How are you working? Have you reduced your hours? Have you made any contact? Because 6 weeks is actually a long time to go without having a contact. Now, again, different businesses have, like, we have 30 clients. So even the clients that have suspended their services with us, we've been in touch with at least every 2 weeks, if not every week. All right. The clients that we are still running services for, we're talking to every week. All right. Some of you have maybe 100, 200 clients. A little bit more difficult to talk to everyone, but you break it up by your key clients, your secondary clients, and your tertiary clients, and focus on those key clients because they're mostly accounting for 75, 80% of your revenue. Now, you have a list. Is it in an Excel spreadsheet and you just copy it into your Gmail and you send it out? If you're doing that, chances are most of your emails are going into junk and not being read by your customer. If you're not on an email platform currently, strongly recommend that this is, you know, we're hearing a lot about transforming your business to digital. And that just doesn't mean transforming it to digital advertising. It's what parts of your business that you can transform to digital. And one of them is your mail list, your communications. All right. So like MailChimp, Constant Contact, Drip are a few. There's tons of them out there. And most of them offer free or very, very, very low cost monthly subscription rates for less than 1,000 users. All right. The other thing too is that now you're sending out an email with graphics and design and thought structure to the content development that just presents you in a much more positive and professional way than just sending out a text email by Gmail or Outlook.
Mark, can I just ask, I see Catherine submitted a question in the chat. Do you want to?
I'm not seeing them, so.
Do you want to take all questions at the end, or do you want to sort of talk a bit?
No, I can talk about it. So let me just get my chat going up
He's
here.
asking you to explain the difference between organic searches and other searches.
Okay, so organic searches are, so when you go on, say, Google, so the layout of Google is a Google search result page. Here, let me just see if can I get this? Okay, I'm not great with Zoom here. Anyway, all right, so you'll just have to interrupt me, Andre, with any questions. So, okay, so a Google search result is a search result for a query that is unpaid. So when you look at say on your desktop, if you type in restaurants near me, so up at the top you will have the paid ads. Then you will have the map. All right, so local listings. And then you will have underneath that unpaid listings. All right, so an organic search result is an unpaid search result. Other search results on search platforms like Google, Yahoo, and whatnot, Bing, are paid. All right, and they tend to appear at the top if you're bidding high enough, or at the bottom of the search engine result page. And in the listings, if you're advertising, quite often you'll see in the map listings ad, you'll be positioned at the top of the listings if you're advertising. All right. So Catherine, does that answer the question?
So Mark, she's also asked, she said that, what do you think if the easiest marketing platform to use, or is the easiest?
We're going to get there.
Okay.
We'll get to that if that's okay. It's further down in the conversation.
Okay.
I'm just trying to, just excuse me for a second here. I'm just trying to. Okay, there we go. I got chat looking up now. So, anyway, so email, again, just stuff you can refer to afterwards. But take the time now also to segment your list. Who's your clients? Who's your key clients? Who's your secondary clients, industry, prospects, former clients? Because you may want to send different email messages to different people. And then obviously take the time to clean out any defunct emails and old contacts that are just cluttering your database. So if you don't have a list, what do we talk about? We got time. Get to it. This is the least expensive way to advertise and maintain a relationship with your customer base and a prospect base. Great reason to call your clients, ask them for their email if you don't have record of it anywhere, and permission to add them to your email list. I will add a link. CASL, forgot to add the CASL requirements. So Canadian anti-spam legislation, there is obviously some rules here in Canada that we have to follow when it comes to email. But if you have a client relationship, then you're pretty well safe. As I said earlier, most email platforms have free plans. And, but also again, now think about when you reopen. What kind of policy can you implement to start collecting emails with all transactions? All right, so most POS systems today offer this type of feature. So you always get it. You go to a store, can I have your email address? Well, that's why they're asking for it, because they want to put you in the database. All right. Now, keep in mind that you can always unsubscribe in the future, or you can decline at that point. Well, let's say you had 100 customers in a week and you were able to collect 20. Well, that's 20 more than you had at the beginning of the week. All right. And over time, that list will grow. And if your POS system permits, integrate it directly to your email platform so that you don't have to do any manual work. If you have to do the manual exporting and importing, it's very simple, very easy. Just set up a process so that when you decide to send out an email, you're not wasting 2 or 3 hours. Okay, let me go find it, do this, do that, that it's already updated that you can easily set it up and integrate it into your platform. So I just caution here, if you're building out your list for the first time, segment it, do it right. You know, it saves time. So now that you have your list in shape, start using it, and but first create a plan of what you want to say and when you want to say it. Just don't communicate for the sake of communicating. Take the time, spend some time just thinking about what's important to your customers, what's important to your prospects, and then schedule it. All right. So, for example, for us, we've sent out 2 communications since the beginning of this COVID crisis. The first one was, what was the first one, Louise? What are emails that we sent out? And the second one was informing our clients and prospects about the Google grants. That Google's going to be offering up Google grants to customers. So we just wanted to advise everyone that we were on top of it, and when we got notification if they were getting a grant, that we would be in communication with them. So, and again, so for example, maybe you're a restaurant that decided to close shop on March 17th or 18th, whatever the date was. Oh yeah, the first email was advertising in uncertain times. Okay. So let's say an email decided to shut down, but now after 6 weeks have decided, you know what, got to do something. Let's open up, even if we're just paying the rent. All right. Very important to communicate to their community, customers, prospects, staff, you know, how they're going to exercise social distancing. We're not just opening, we're going to be offering curbside service. This is how we're going to do it. Deliveries this way. This is how we're going, no cash. This is going to be a completely contactless transaction. It's important to communicate that. All right. So that's one reason why you may want to communicate with your customer base. Now, I added here a scenario 3 for those that have the cash around, and that's taking the time to implement a drip, or sometimes called nurturing campaigns. And I put here a definition. You know, a drip campaign is a tactic used to acquire customers through lead nurturing programs. And basically, as the name drip implies, It's like Chinese water torture. You slowly, you know, send other marketing messages, emails to these prospects over time and try to move them down the marketing funnel. All right. So we have one of those in development right now, should be launched next week, but we've also been working, our client Turpin Kia out in Carleton Place, they've had a sign-up form offering up to $1,000 discount on top of the manufacturer discounts for years, even before we started working with them. And then a year ago, we implemented a drip campaign. And I think we send out up to 16 emails over a 4-month period. And their conversion rate has gone up 25% of people using those coupons as part when they purchase a car versus introducing the whole drip campaign. So there's an investment up front, but once it's built, there's a very low monthly cost to it, and it will provide ROI for years. So it's, again, a tactic to look at of how to nurture leads, because people are coming to your website, and basically you use that incentive to, you know, get people to give up their email address and their name so that you can maintain that contact with them. So just another idea for those that have some money. Anyway, social media, pretty straightforward. Again, some people just stop posting to social media on March 18th. Why? Don't know. You know, well, we're not open. Are you going to be open when the economy reopens? If you're going to be, maintain. Now, you may have to change your messaging. You may have to look at what's relevant. You don't want to be tone deaf during this period, but maintaining a presence maintains a relationship with your followers, which hopefully are some of them your customers. Now, a reality is that if you have 200 or less followers on Facebook, chances are most of them are family or friends. All right. So, you know, here's a good time to think about, how am I going to build more followers? Now, it's easier on Instagram than it is on Facebook, but again, we have time right now. What are some of the tactics? Usually comes down to great content that people are going to share. All right. It's also a good time to evaluate your social media platforms. Are they really the right fit to communicate with your potential customer? Like, really? Like for us, Instagram, for our agency, it really is never going to generate or support any lead. We do Instagram because we offer social media as a service, so we want to demonstrate to our potential customers and reaffirm with our current customers that we understand Instagram. But if Instagram went away tomorrow, I don't lose sleep. All right. So, you know, Twitter, like, is it really useful for you? Yes or no? BIA, we made a decision a year and a half ago that Twitter wasn't where we wanted to be. So we stopped using Twitter. So you don't need to be everywhere. You're better to do a great job somewhere that is really relevant to your customers and your potential customers. So again, take the time, go in through your insights, really take a look at, is this important? Does this match up with my customer base? All right. And again, some free or very low cost tools to make it easier if you're not using them already. Social Pilot, Hootsuite, others, to schedule your posts so that you can sit down on a Sunday afternoon and schedule mostly 80% of your posts for a month. All right. So you're not forgetting about it. And then all of a sudden you wake up, oh my God, I haven't posted anything in 2 weeks. Now, Google My Business listing. If you had a choice between doing a post on Google My Business or a post on Facebook, you do Google My Business. It is the most important social media site that you have. More prospects will likely learn about your business organically through a Google My Business listing than any other source. But it's a hungry beast and you've got to feed it. So again, Google added for businesses, certain types of business, they've added to their list of attributes, curbside pickup. If you're offering curbside pickup, have you gone in and turned that on? All right. Are you updating pictures from the business, or are you relying on customers to update, to add pictures? You know, you can't stop your customers from doing it, but you should be adding pictures, menu items. If you're delivering a car, if you're, you know, just did a great hairstylist job on a customer, take a picture or a selfie with the customer, you know, post those things, showcase your work, make sure all your services are up to date, and keep it active. So always be using it. If you got an event, a sales event going on, make sure you post it on Google My Business as well as you post it on Facebook or other sources. And the most important thing is that active Google My Business listings, sorry for the typo, are favored by Google's algorithms. All right. They will help you increase your presence on Google's search result pages. And that's why they're more important than any other social media site. YouTube channels. So Joe was talking yesterday about how he took the time, he's got the time, went and dusted off a whole bunch of video content that he had created over the last several years, and has, you know, tuned up his YouTube channel, and he's starting to post these videos to his YouTube channel. Excellent thing, excellent idea. Because again, people are online, people are searching. Streaming video is up 61% this month. All right. So there's a couple of things that you get out of this. One, you start creating an audience on YouTube. It takes time, but once you pass through a tipping point, again, one of our clients a year and a half ago went through the 1,000 subscribers. I think they're up to almost 5,000 today, because it just takes off. Like, it organically just grows once you go through that tipping point. It's also a great channel, cross-channel source for posts on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever. So again, blogging. Everybody wants to do blogs. Everybody wants to write. That is untrue, Catherine. So Catherine asks, she was told by a rep at Yellow Pages that if you have a Yellow Page ad, you'll be higher up in Google search. That is so untrue. All right. And I would just, again, if you're paying $100 a year, you know, like their Yellow Pages will show up because they're a directory, and directories take precedence over individual businesses. All right. But when you can go into Google and search everything in the world, like, again, if you're paying $100 a year, maybe for Yellow Pages, all right, but I wouldn't spend $100 a month on Yellow Pages. All right. And Ken, you have a quick question.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. A couple things here. So I find this super interesting, and I appreciate you doing this. There's a lot of options out there in terms of social media, and I'm you know, writing all these things down. I knew they existed. Do you have a recommendation in terms of a tool or a model or something that somebody could, I guess, use to figure out really what are the best tools for their business? Because, you know, I'm looking at the YouTube channel. Mark, you and I have chatted before. I'm going to be in the business of trying to prevent harassment and violence in the workplace and doing investigations. And so I'm just trying to think of how I might be able to pull it off. So the quick question is there a methodology or an approach that, you know, somebody should be using to assess really what type of tools they should be you know, using in their day-to-day business? Because I really don't know the answer to it. I find it all very exciting. But
exciting, confusing, and
yeah.
There's a huge breadth of opportunity. So I think it's like every other business or anything really in life. So you got to sit, there's only so much time in the day, although we have lots of time right now, but think about post-economy opening and post-COVID. There's only so much time in the day. So you want to spend your time, and this is, I think, the point of your question is, is you want to spend your time in the right place. I'm going fishing for trout. Do I go to a big lake that there's trout in, or do I go to a lake that's really known for having lots of trout? Might be a smaller lake, but chances of me grabbing some trout are going to happen out of the smaller lake. So looking at the channels that are available, and I call them channels, these social sites or different advertising tools, I call them channels. You look at the channels available, which do you think matches up the best with your audience? So, you know, if you're looking for a certain type of clientele, are they likely to be using Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn? Where do you think they spend their social media time? Are they really, really time starved and don't spend a lot of time on social media, or not? Do they commute? If they commute, they most likely spend more time on social. I mean, if they take public transit, they most likely spend more time on social media than if they're driving their own car. So you got to try to get into the psychographics of who that person is, all right? And then pick the channel that you think is going to best match. And then what you do, if your website is all set up properly and you got proper tracking set up, all right, then you look at your referral traffic that you're getting. So when people come to your site, are they coming through Google search, organic, paid? Are they coming through Facebook referral? Are they coming through Twitter referral? Are they coming through Yelp, whatever? And so from that tracking, you can see who's converting. So for example, Yelp, I could take those guys in New York and Chicago and squeeze them, but squeeze them around the neck. They just want to sell. They don't think about who they're trying to sell to. And we have a business in Montreal that they were just harassing me 2 summers ago, like every week, different rep calling up, your customer should be on Yelp. So I finally went in one day and I said, out of the last 3 years, 0.001% of the traffic that came to our client's website came from Yelp. So out of 50,000 visits in 2 years, 2 people, or whatever the number was, 2 people came from a Yelp referral. You know what? If my client has 20 times the budget than he currently has, maybe we'll stack it on the top at that point, all right? But right now, he's not even doing a great job on Google search. So I'm not gonna take money away and put it onto Yelp. So you've really gotta see where, what channel matches up with your audience, and then trial and error, you know, like really trial and error. And again, that's we'll get into that on the paid side, but on paid digital, that's a huge benefit. Like if you commit to a TV campaign or a radio campaign or a print campaign or a billboard campaign, you don't know if it's working for a while, all right? Unless you're offering a great incentive, a sale this weekend that people are going to drive showroom traffic. Digital, you can know within a week if it's working or not, all right? Because you can measure it, all right?
Yeah, back to your analytics there, exactly, yeah, okay.
Know your data. How many times have we heard in life, know your data? How many of you are so tight on your accounting? Again, got to know your books, right? Got to know your profit and loss. Got to know where the money's going. Same thing with your advertising.
Okay, Mark, can I just go back to email for a minute, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Just on that, and I think I have a love-hate relationship with email, maybe receiving too many unnecessary ones over time, over 30 years, or not quite 30 years. Anyway, so I'm a believer in what you're saying, and I'm receiving, you know, regular sort of touch point emails from businesses I do business with personally. I'm getting kind of tired of looking at them, and oh, here's another one from this place, another one from that place, and I don't think you can ever escape that, but how can you make it look different? Do you have a sense? Obviously good content in there. How do you get somebody to want to actually read it?
I think there's 2 parts to that. One is how you do your subject line, and making sure that, and again, there's a lot of resources online how to write a proper subject line. Secondly is your content hierarchy. You know, so if your recipients know that you're not wasting their time, that you're providing valuable content, and you lay it out in eatable bites, then chances are you'll get recurring opens. The other second part is having a clean list. You know, obviously people can unsubscribe, so you're not going to email to them. But again, you know, do you send it to your brother-in-law? No. You know, so really, you know, it's better to have a smaller, tighter, well-targeted list than a big list. You know what I'm saying? So take the rifle approach versus a shotgun approach. And that's, I think, for everything that we do. Yeah, Jason, I don't have a 3- and 5-year-old. I'm so fortunate. My son's 28, living in another city, so I'm not pulling my hair out that I don't have it. Yes, and from Chris, he makes a good point. You see who opens the emails, because when you're using these sources, whether it's MailChimp or whatnot, you see if Mark Dickie opened your email or not. You get to see how many people clicked and went through to, you know, if you had call to actions and you want people to go and follow up with content on your website, you get to see how that's all performing. And again, MailChimp is really good at it. You can do a comparison against industry. So let's say you're in the association world, you compare it to other associations. Now it's a big basket, but you're just not comparing against restaurants, you're comparing against associations. You can see, you know, how you're comparing. So if the average is a 25% click through and you're coming in at 20%, you got to do a better job. Or open rate, I mean, you got to do a better job. If you're at a 40%, you should always try to do a better job, but you're doing well. So there's some benchmarking that's available. So. Chris, what is the ideal video length? Maybe explain the demographics of the channels. Okay, so ideal video length. Well, it depends. There is talk these days about long. I think you got to look at it this way. If you're going to advertise, then obviously 15 to 30 seconds is on Facebook is the ideal, most likely. You got to have enough time to tell your story. On YouTube, they have the 6-second bumpers. I find it's very challenging to build a great 6-second ad. So if you're going to take on a 6-second ad, I think be prepared. It almost takes more time to build a great 6-second ad than a video ad than it does to do a 15-second or 30-second. All right. The demographics of the channel. So Instagram, and Crystal, you may want to jump in on this. Instagram, I think, is most likely low 20s through 55. So don't think you can't reach working moms or even empty nester moms and dads, or more moms in particular, on Instagram, because you can. There's a lot of women sitting down at night watching TV, running through their Instagram accounts. All right, and again, professionals from all walks of life. Facebook is, well, interesting enough, everybody says Facebook's an older crowd, which, you know what? If you go look in at your insights and look at the audience, you still have a strong, well, 25-34 is still strong. 35-44 is becoming the sweet spot. But I ran a campaign in, I think, London, England, about 6 months ago. And the target group was 18 to 44. And I had to cut off the 18 to 24 because they were sucking up too much of my ad spend on clicks. Like, we were overperforming on the 18 to 24. After a couple of days, I had to cut off that part of the audience because it was just, no, actually, that wasn't that was in Ottawa, sorry. That was not in London, England. That was in Ottawa last summer for a campaign that we were doing for the DCOI initiative. And 1824 was just taking too much of the ad spend because we really wanted to target the 35 to 54. That was our core. So, but again, we don't have a lot of experience with with TikTok yet, or what is it called, Snapchat? We haven't done any campaigns with, because most of our clients are, you know, targeting at 35 plus. Sorry about the dog in the background. Sorry. The terrorist was let loose. Got out of jail. Anything else? But back to video length. I think there's a seminar I'm sitting in on next week about video. So again, back to video. So if you're on YouTube, obviously, you know, there's some great content out, even ad content that's a minute and a half, 2 minutes long. Look at what some of the big brands are doing, like the long format. So you may use a shorter version on advertising to get people to your website to check out the long form part of the video. Again, it all depends on what you want to get out of it. I don't know if I'd run a 2-minute video ad on Facebook. You know, I don't think people are going to give you that attention span unless it's brilliant. One big thing about any video, you've got to clearly highlight your message in the first 4 seconds. Clearly. Because as you know, with YouTube and other channels, you can click through after that 5 or 6 second mark. You want to make sure that people are captivated and they're going to stick longer than that 5 seconds. And you're only going to do that. So don't waste your time putting your logo up at the beginning of your ad. That's wasted opportunity. You know, bring them right into the compelling, powerful message. All right. So blogging we talked about. I think it's pretty straightforward. Obviously speaking to your customers in person. So these are some ideas. They're not all the ideas, but some of the ideas that you can do for free. Okay, I didn't change my title here. This is for the advertising part, which I want to touch on because, again, there's some really, I think Catherine asked earlier, what are some of the best ways to potentially use online advertising? So obviously, if you can afford to advertise, and even if your budget is small, do it. Because again, that's part of maintaining your presence, also part of expanding your reach to potential customers, which are going to be very important to you post economy open up. And again, I was in the radio world for 26, 27 years. When Louise and I decided to start this business together 4 years ago, I was approached by several other people that I knew to go in business with them on their traditional ad agencies. I have experience. I've done enough media buying in my time. I've done the radio side. I know advertising in and out pretty well. We decided to do digital only. And a lot of my peers looked at me and said, well, why would you do that? You've got 26, 27 years experience in traditional. I said, look, it's where the money's going, all right? And secondly, it's effective, all right? It is effective. So, and we're seeing it right now. Streaming audio, streaming video. Somebody said that TuneIn is up 300% for a streaming audio service than last month. That's where people are spending their time, all right? Website traffic is still strong. We have clients that have cut their ad spend by 75% and their website traffic might be down 20% month over month. I was talking to our Facebook rep the other day, and he was saying it's like there's a 50% sale on Facebook right now. Two factors. One is a lot of businesses have cut their advertising. Second factor is people are using it more, so there's more impressions available. So it costs less to advertise right now on Facebook. We're getting clicks at 10 cents a click, you know, where we were paying 75, 80, 90 cents a click prior. So there's great opportunities right now. Now, once we come out of this, I'm sure the prices will go up again. But right now, it can be inexpensive. And as I started off at the beginning here, the advantage businesses have today compared to previous recessions was that traditional media still costs a lot of money, whether it's TV, billboards, radio, print. But digital, you can eliminate all that waste. So let's say we have a business here in Barrhaven, and it's only located in Barrhaven. You don't have other stores across the city. But maybe during regular times, you have enough cash flow, you have enough, and people will come from all over the city to your business. It's a destination type business. So it's worth advertising on those channels. But right now, you got to hunker down. And for unless you have no other competitors in the city, somebody isn't going to drive from Orleans to Barrhaven to pick up dinner or to pick up a shovel or pick up hair salon supplies. Unless they're so dedicated and they have nothing else to do at the time, they're not going to drive 30 minutes to do that. Right now, our businesses are very local. All right, if you're a retail business, it's very local. So digital allows you to define what that geographic territory is. Now, maybe you still want to advertise across the whole city, but you can do it for a lot less money. You can also target your audience. So there's zero reason for a hairstylist that's targeting women to advertise to me. But if they're buying billboards, they're advertising to me because I drive by them. All right, it's wasted investment. So the advantage today we have versus other recessionary periods is that digital provides inexpensive means to be out there and be present. So Google search, got an example here. Richmond Home Hardware, one of our clients changed from, Richmond Business, BMR changed from Home Hardware last November. So we've had only on Google search, a name campaign running. Anybody looking for Richmond Home Hardware, we make sure that the Richmond BMR, so Home Hardware in Richmond, anything around that, their searches are up 300% when you compare April 1 to 20 to the previous period, the previous month. 300%, all right? And we're spending no more money than we did the previous month for the clicks. So again, Google search, you can define your geographic territory, you can define your target demographic, low-hanging fruit for people that are offering what you're looking for. Facebook and Instagram. I'm a big Facebook fan. At any time, it's an inexpensive way to advertise to a highly targeted audience within a specific geo-target. So Ken and I were speaking the other day about these different channels, and I said to him, look, you can go LinkedIn, you can go Facebook, because on Facebook I can target job titles, I can target CEOs, I can target VP Finance, I can target VP Human Resources, I can target who he wants to reach on Facebook, all right? So again, you don't talk to the person that might be a doctor, because that's not the person you want to speak to. You want to speak to a certain type of clientele. You can do that audience segmenting. And if your audience is only Barrhaven, like a restaurant right now could be advertising $50 a week and reaching 10,000 people most likely, at least in Barrhaven, to talk about their curbside business and traffic. The $50 a week, you know what? 3 orders, family orders, you've paid for the advertising and you've exposed your clientele. You exposed your business beyond your existing clientele that knows about you. The other thing to look at too is right now, like Facebook remarketing, like $3 a day. You could advertise to everybody in Ottawa that's come to your website in the last month. And that's if you have a lot of traffic to your website, all right? Again, continuing that relationship afterwards with them. And then boosted posts. So I'm not a big fan of boosted posts, but they're good for a good shot in the arm on particular specific content and whatnot for a short period of time. Do I have any other questions here? Quick question, Chris. Chris, you had a question?
So, yeah, I think I got sidetracked.
8 minutes ago.
Yeah, one of my things I was going to say that in terms of the structures, like you mentioned the Google My Business, is they do have something that's relatively simple, and I wanted to get your opinion on it. I've had an okay success with it, is the smart campaigns. It's probably not something that you use at all, but I find it useful because the full format of Google gets really complicated, and I find it doesn't give me value, whereas the smart campaigns seem to be much easier to focus, and I seem to be getting some success out of it, but I just wondered what your opinion was on the smart campaigns. if you have much
Yeah.
experience with
So you're
it. I
talking
know if you're more advanced-
Google search ads? Google search
I'm
ads?
sorry?
Google
Well,
search
yeah, like
ads?
search ads. They have like what's called a smart campaign. So you can build a campaign around like your like I have two different campaigns. One based on like hoodies, and my focus area is like from where my store is plus say like 15 miles, which sort of captures Ottawa. And then I've got another one based on custom embroidery. And so what it does is it creates keywords for you based on what you put in. And then you can go in and you can delete keywords that you find aren't useful. Yeah, I find it very, very simple. I've tried the full Google search ads, and I've tried image ads, and I find them so complicated that it ends up wasting money every time I do it. I always revisit it every year, and I end up losing money again and saying, okay, still not working for me.
So the answer to two questions. So one is Google, even with their smart campaigns, you got to sit on top of it. All right. So, because like you said, hold him. So sorry about that, guys. So, like you said, delete those keywords that aren't performing. It's still use the tools because there's still, you got to be on top of it. Like there's negative keyword lists. There's some for example, we've run campaigns in the past. Oh, we ran a campaign. No, that's not right. That was another platform. Anyway, you just, I'm not the Google specialist, but you can still waste a lot of money. Like for clients that, if you stay on top of it and you pay attention to it and you follow all the tips and guidance, then it can work for you on a small business level. All right. But anybody that we've taken over their accounts that they were using those tools, we have typically increased their effectiveness by 50%, and sometimes they spent less money. All right, because there's still a science to it. And even today with AI, artificial intelligence, which we do use, you still need a strategy around that artificial intelligence. But if you're on top of it, Google search cannot be plug and play. Even if Google is saying it can be plug and play, it cannot be plug and play. You'll just waste money because there's a whole lot of assumptions you have to make in your strategy to make sure that you're spending your dollars properly. Yeah. So if.
Can I jump in, Mark?
Yeah, sure.
I was just going to suggest if anybody's thinking of doing Google Ads, they have a training program to get Google Ads certified. It's essentially two courses. The first one is a general of how Google Ads work, and then the second one you would pick would be specific to your type of business and the type of ads you want to run. Are you running search ads? Are you running product ads? Are you running anything like that? Each course is about 4 hours. And I mean, it's not even about becoming certified, but just understanding sort of how sort of those little nuances, because having done enough Google Ads myself, you can definitely jump in and with a limited knowledge try to play, but there's some really subtle things that can make a huge difference in how that money is being spent. So.
Crystal's 100% correct, but I would still say you've got to stay on top of it.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Like seriously, you've got to stay on top of it. We took over a client 2 years ago. They were spending $10,000 a month. It was a seasonal business, and the first mandate for us, they were doing it internally themselves, and their first mandate to us was to give an analysis of what they did the previous year. So we go back for the meeting. Say, okay. We said, no, let's just go to next year. We said, you don't want to hear. They wasted $8,000 of the $10,000 by 2 months in the previous year. There's just so many nuances, and like Crystal said, so many assumptions that are being made on Google's part about your business. that may not be correct.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I've got a good story.
And smart goals, you know, like they're tracking page views, you know, like smart goals are useless. Set up proper conversion goals in your Google Analytics. And they could be soft goals. Form completions. Clicked on shop now. Obviously, if you've got a shopping cart, you want to see how many people complete the transaction. So make sure all those pixels are installed and whatnot to track that, because that'll give you the proper data of what's working and what's not working. So anyway, it's as my partner, my wife says, it's complicated. And they don't make it any easier. It's just like, you know, SEO. Nobody's asked about SEO. Google last year made 3,000 changes to their organic algorithms. 3,000. Like, you can't keep up. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so just back here, because we're coming up to our time here. Hopefully people are enjoying. Facebook, so we talked about Facebook. Streaming audio ads. So for those of you that listen to Spotify, tuned in, SoundCloud, if you don't have paid subscription, you see ads. This is really becoming an affordable alternative to using traditional media, because you also get to, you know, isolate your demographics, isolate your geo-target audience, where you want to geo-target. Audience targeting again, so if you want to look for in-market, so but people in market for hoodies, you know, or in market for embroidery, if there's a large enough audience, you can target that. So, and pardon me? Okay. So, and then again, you might see the language out there, OTT and CTV. Well, CTV is not the network, it's called connected TV. And it's the same as the above. And right now with streaming being up so high, 61%, you can isolate advertising to your video devices. So your smart TV screen that you're watching YouTube, Jimmy Fallon and all, you know, Colbert and all these guys that you sit there and you see these ads come up. Well, you can target, you know, your advertising right to those channels and whatnot and get people in that video environment. Display ads, we all know what display ads are, Google Display Network or other publisher platforms. Again, you don't need huge budgets to hyper target a local audience, all right? As Chris said, sometimes display ads may not be the right source. Again, you got to look back to Ken's question earlier. You got to look at each channel and say, what do I want each channel to do? And again, you got to look at your budget and say, how do I stack it? You know, what is going to get me the best return right now for what I need to do to get my message out there? LinkedIn, if you're in a business-to-business situation. I also included offline here. As you most likely notice, there's not a lot of competition in the mailbox these days. So whether it's an addressed direct mail campaign, so you've got, again, it might be a retail business, you have your customer list, you have their addresses. So dear Mark, you know, hope things are well during this time. Just wanted to let you know that when we open, we're going to be offering a 10% discount to all of our customers on their first haircuts, so we can get that mess on your head looking better. You know, please keep in touch. If there's anything we can do for you, you know, Susie Shear. All right. So, or if you just wanted to, geo-target, not get target, geo-target, send out a direct mail campaign. Maybe, again, your curbside takeout business, you say, okay, you know what? I want to get people in Stonebridge to know that my restaurant on Strandherd is open. So I'm going to do a mail drop. I don't know what they're charging these days, but there's nothing. There's very, 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 compared to normal, there's very little direct mail campaigns going on. So it might be an inexpensive way to keep your name out there. So getting ready, I think it's important right now, whether we're 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months away, 3 months away from opening, to start planning what you're going to do when Mr. Ford says on this date, these businesses will be allowed to open. Well, obviously you got to look at how you're going to operate, how you're going to interact with potential customers, what are the social distancing practices, protocols you need to put in place. But also, are you opening with a sale? Are you opening with some sort of promotion? And when do you start promoting that? All right, like our clients are starting to talk to us now about, Mark, let's get everything ready so that we can pull the trigger about 10 days prior, or whatever amount of time we have notice, that we can pull the trigger and start promoting our sales event, because most of our retail clients are coming out with big sales. So take the time to think through what are you going to do other than turn the lights on? All right. And be ready for that. And then in closing, do what your competitors are not doing. Be the purple cow in a good way. So be noticeable, be out there, be present. Try to build those new relationships. But most importantly, continue to own the share of mind with the customer base that you've built up over the years. Share of mind is very fleeting. You can lose it really quickly. Like I was thinking earlier, I made a note. So let's say I was a hairstyling company. So month one, I say, okay, I'm going to take my top 100 customers that spend $3,000 to $4,000 a year with me, and I'm going to drop off to them and deliver to their home a hairstyling kit with instructions. I'm going to do that as long as we're doing this. So I've gone to my suppliers, I've squeezed them for samples or whatnot, and that's what I'm going to do. Now, okay, I've got that done. I've looked after, I've created an insurance policy, hopefully for those 100 top customers. Now, I'm going to run an advertising campaign. I think I'm going to use Instagram, all right, and Facebook, and I'm going to advertise 100 free, a free coloring kit and instructions for the first 100 subscribers. So I bring to them my website, I get them to sign up, I get their mailing address, I get their home address, I get all the phone number, all that information. But hey, I'm committing to giving them a monthly thing. So now I'm building a relationship with 100 people I've never talked to before in my life. So let's say this goes on for 3 months. I can most likely advertise for 150, 200 bucks a month on Facebook and Instagram. Whatever it's going to cost me for these kits, let's say another 10 bucks. So let's say I put a few $1,000s into this over a few months. I land 5 customers out of the 100, 5% conversion. Chances are they're going to spend $3,000 to $4,000 a year with me. So if I get 5 of them and they all stick that first year, I've got $15,000 worth of revenue. Now, lifetime value of that customer. Well, when Louise, my wife, wants a perfect haircut, she still goes back to Montreal. We've lived here for 6 years, all right? But let's say, let's say it's 5 years, only 5-year lifetime value, which I think is much higher than 5. So you're going to generate $75,000 of potential business off that $3,000 investment. That's one hell of a return on investment. All right. And that's how ambitious marketers during this time can hijack customers from their competitors. So that's what I'm saying. Do what your competitors aren't doing. Be that purple cow. Stand out. Be innovative. Think outside the box, because you want to make sure that you're stronger coming out of this than you went into it. Any questions?
Thanks, Mark. So it is 10:23, and I'm glad that we had some interactive dialogue throughout Mark's presentation. I know we do have a copy of his presentation that we'll be sharing on our daily email update today. We'll also put a link to it on our website, on our COVID page. Don's been keeping notes, so we will also supply a high-level summary, so a little bit more detailed annotated notes further to the copy of the presentation. Mark, did you have anything in closing you wanted to add?
Guys, if you just want to pick our brain, feel free to reach out to me. Free to offer some free advice and guidance and whatnot. As I've said to Andrea from day number one, my participation in the BIA is not so much about generating business as it is helping businesses. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm in the twilight years of my life, but I'm in the twilight years of my career, you know. And I think with all the experience that I've gained over the years, if I can share and help other businesses, that's what my purpose of being involved with the BIA is. So this is not about sales pitches. This is about helping others. So if there's anything you want to talk about, we can schedule a call and just chat. And it's always nice to meet new people in the community. So, and Andrea and Crystal, before you, I'm going to update the, with some links on the, on the document. So.
Okay, perfect. And if anyone doesn't know how to get in touch with Mark, send us an email and we will put you in touch with him. I apologize for my dog's bone chewing in the background.
Well, it's better than our dog having a terrorist event. So anyway.
I just two things I want to mention before we close the call off. Wednesdays, I know many of you have been joining us. We have a weekly call, an open call for businesses to chat about any issues that they're concerned about. That's every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Again, the link to join that is also available through our webpage on our website, as well as on the daily email updates. And we do have a second webinar that we are putting on. Ken, who is on the call, is going to be giving a webinar about maintaining a healthy workplace under physical and social distancing. So that will be on April 30th, so next Thursday at noon. And again, the link is available on our website. It's and it'll also be we'll be reminding you on our email updates about that webinar as well. Okay. So
Mark, it's all about training.
yeah, sure.
You give them a warm fire and they don't move.
All right.
Mark, that was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.